Welcome back to Mega Man 04. Last time, we fought the sun and we won. Or at least we fought a bug lady who harnessed the power of the sun. I'm gonna be honest, the sun kinda had us dead to rights. If we stood in it for too long, yeah, there's nothing we could have done to stop it, but nonetheless, since the bug is taken care of, the area's fine now. So today we're gonna go to a completely different weather effect. This one's a snowy weather effect. And this is also a situation that I would not consider terribly dangerous, it's just things waking up. But it is pretty close to the encampment, so I'm thinking we should stop this one. Even if it is just like foot soldiers awakening and not the sun itself completely destroying the land around the camp. Yeah, I have gone back to my whole I go for the most pressing missions first thing. I haven't really done that since Mega Man X. Didn't really have as much of an opportunity for it in Zero. I kinda did it, but yeah, here I look at the map and I think, okay, what sounds horrible to deal with and is close to the encampment? And that was kind of my determining factor for my order for this game. Right, so, what to talk about today? Well, since I mentioned the weather effect already, this is a stage where, obviously we've got snow to deal with, that does hide some foes. However, we're also not dealing with a thing that would help us destroy certain enemies later on. Meaning if we want all of the enemy parts, we do have to wait until a second visit, which, frankly, given how long it takes to get those guys, even when their weakness is available, yeah, I would be doing that anyway. Also, we want to be careful because there's a unique thing down here. Yep, here we go. Yeah, so if you kill this guy with a Z-Knuckle, you get the little card key he's carrying, which will be useful in a little bit. This is another thing you can wait until a revisit to use, but, you know, it's snowy now, we can access it. I am going to obtain this and use it. So obviously try not to hit anything with this, don't unequip it. Do not fling it into the distance, that's a bad idea. Alright, Serpent Gear. Well, thankfully the drops are pretty plentiful, but this is a boss where every time you destroy one of these segments, it gets faster and faster. And since they take a little while to destroy, that does eventually get a little dangerous. Anyway though, right, so, where was I? The difficulty, right. So, weird thing about this game is, because of the weather effects, you can't actually get all of the parts in hard mode. Reason being is, in hard mode, you're locked into the hard version of each stage, which makes sense in hard mode, but nonetheless, it is a little annoying that, yeah, you miss out on certain parts if you do play that, but it's not a huge deal or anything. Like, it does kind of suck that you can't get 100%, but that's not really what hard mode is for. Hard mode is, well, there for challenge. And in terms of utility, the part you get gets you a chip that raises elf level, if I remember correctly, and that's useless in hard mode because you don't get access to the elf, amongst many, many other things. But yeah, in terms of various difficulty things, there's still something about the weather effect that I do kind of want to discuss, but I'm gonna save that for a little bit, different discussion day, because I think it's more pressing for that. Instead, today I'd like to point out our equipment screen. Now, you might not have noticed it, maybe you weren't paying attention for it, but there is a certain thing missing from our equipment. It's not under Zero's parts either, not under head, body, or legs. And I am, of course, talking about the element chips. So you might be wondering then, well, how do you get elemental weaknesses in this game? You kinda don't. I mean, you do, but you don't. See, the thing is, the EX skills are easier to obtain in this game, because instead of having to consistently keep a good score, you just have to do the harder version of the stage. However, that also means that EX skills kind of work more like they did in the X games. And we'll see what I mean in a moment here, because we've got the boss to deal with. So, this is Fenry Lunaedge. I think that's supposed to be more of a Lunaedge, because it's one word, but it's kind of hard to go straight from a Luna to an edge. Anyway, this guy probably looks exactly like what you would expect a Fenry Lunaedge to look like. He's very impatient, and it's very obvious he's got places to be in his fight. So let's see, is he going to do his worst attack? I'm trying to remember this versus all of my failed attempts, of which there were many. There we go, that's the worst one. You have to be in a very particular spot and react to it correctly in time to dodge it. And honestly, this is another boss that kind of gets you where he wants you to be. He's very difficult to deal with, because yeah, if you're in the wrong place for kind of his just all-over-the-place attack, it's really difficult to dodge. And yeah, pretty much all of his attacks he kind of just does on a dime. It might not have looked very hard, but this is one of the trickiest bosses in the game. I'd actually say this is maybe one of the bosses with my most failed attempts. I can't say that for sure. I know it's not the number one, but I'm not 100% sure if it's number 2 either. Kinda hard to tell. This game does have some, I'll say, tricky bosses that makes it seem like they're a legitimate challenge, and sometimes I feel like they're not, and oh my god, sub 4 minutes should be 17 points. Get out of here with that. So got Fenry Lunaedge's EX skill Ice Blade. So yeah, note the name Ice Blade. That does sound a lot like it's an elemental skill, doesn't it? So yes, Zero's skill set is a little more like it is in the X games, where instead of just getting a straight element like we've been getting for the past 3 games, we instead get various skills based off of, you know, what the bosses do, which has been the norm. In this game, they're a little more of a traditional boss weakness, whereas in the previous games they've kind of just been extra effects, but they're now one of 3 sources of elemental damage in this game. I forget if I equip the EX skill before or after I go back to grind, but either way, we get Quick Charge 3, which, yeah, if I was gonna get anything this early on in the game, I want it to be Quick Charge. Okay, yeah, I equip it now. So yeah, Ice Blade, press down and saber attack. Before we move on though, I feel like the EX skills in this game are really poorly thought out, and in terms of elemental weaknesses, they do not work super well. Alright, anyway though, right, yeah, so we can equip Cyber Elf level 2. So if you're wondering, yeah, Cyber Elf limit is raised every time you beat a main stage. So, your overall limit isn't gonna get terribly high in this game. As you might imagine, when you unlock Ultimate Mode, you can just use the whole Cyber Elf out of the box, and you don't have to worry about the rank. Anyway, here's the sunny weather. As you can see, no snow piles here. So we're actually going to be taking the alternate entrance. We kind of took the, I guess, hidden entrance down there. V-Claws don't have anywhere to hide anymore. Though they are very quick, so you still ought to be careful about them. So yeah, what's the regular entrance look like then? Well, it's another elevator, which we have to deal with later, so I feel like I took the more interesting entrance of the 2. Gotta fill up that sub-tank that we got. Alright, and I think we're more or less about to meet up with the path I got to before, so yeah, unless anything particular happens, let's skip to the actual meat of this revisit. Okay, this isn't the most interesting thing, but I do appreciate that there's, like, dripping ceilings in this one. Because, you know, it was frozen, but now it's thawing out, so it's still moist. Here's the mini-boss. Yeah, let's just skip ahead. Okay, so you're gonna want the Zero Knuckle here, because we need to grab this lamp. Oh, there we go. So yeah, lamp has unlimited uses, though it's not particularly useful for most things. But it does have one specific case, which is only doable if you're playing the sunlight version of the stage. Okay, so these are the Scrap Elves. So we actually do want them to possess the bodies of these trash piles, which I skipped over. You can get these parts even in the snowy version of the stage, because eventually they get into the scrap bodies. It's just, it takes so long that I absolutely did not want to do this in the middle of the stage proper. Because yeah, I already got 3 points docked, and I don't feel like I did that badly. But yeah, we have to wait for ages for them to actually do anything with these scrap bodies. And then we get the P-Corpse. Ew. Alright, so I only need one of these, which means we can move on to this patch of sunlight here. So yeah, the sunlight is how you can actually kill these Scrap Elves. We just have to shine the flashlight, lead them over, and they'll explode into fairy dust. So yeah, we've got a Scrap Elf, let's get out of here. I don't want to have to deal with that anymore. Okay, so with that though, let's move on. Talk to Hirondell, see if he's got anything else to mention. Alter the weather with the weather changer. Some of the 8 warriors' weapons will be no good. I do actually like this bit of backstory here, like, yeah, no, they power up when they have advantageous weather. But that comes at the cost of the EX skill, and also mission points, which is a pain. So anyway, right, we're going to the human settlement. I don't typically do this in the first half of the game, because they said they didn't really want to see us, so this whole thing feels a little awkward. Here's Neige, who is one of the friendlier characters to us, but even she's kinda like, what the heck are you doing here? Thought we said go away. But nonetheless, she's otherwise friendly-ish, once we get past the acknowledgement that the humans don't like Reploids that much. We do have a few people here who are fine with us, but for the most part, yeah, the atmosphere is very unfriendly. And I don't really like coming here early on. Okay, so this, I believe, is Tornado. That, of course, should be fairly obvious, what he's named after. Oh, and, you know, I actually haven't mentioned, Neige is French for snow. So yeah, basically all of the human settlers here are named after various weather phenomena. Let's see, this guy is Tempête, which is French for tempest. He's one of the guys who really doesn't like us. This, however, is a bit of a friendlier face. This is Typhon, French for typhoon. Should be obvious because it's just typhoon with one fewer O. And yeah, since he's a child, he's just kind of friendly to us. They are giving us recipes, which is nice. You can get recipes for at least some of the combinations in this game, but frankly, you should wait until, you know, you find a guide and get the things that it says to get. Otherwise, you're kind of just guessing for a lot of these. And I think I mentioned this before, but a lot of the lesser versions of the parts chips just use the same recipe as the better ones, but like with one fewer thing on them. Though, I wouldn't feel safe guessing whatever ones those are supposed to be. Again, even when I played this game when I was younger, I just looked up a guide. I couldn't be bothered. Oh hey, you have a unique face, so you're another guy. He's a guy who really doesn't like us, though. This is Raphael, which is French for flurry. Oh, is that so? Yeah, that's, oof. I mean, I feel like you had a good few months there when it was the Guardians. The first time that legendary Reploid killed Copy X. No, never met him. I hate violence, but I will do a violence if I meet that Reploid and... Oh, buddy, you could not if you tried. Oh, hey, and here's somebody who does kind of like us. Alright, so this is Breeze, French for breeze. And yeah, she's one of the few characters who's friendly towards us. Also, I have not bothered looking at her tent and Nisha's side by side, but I wonder if they're the exact same. I mention that only because I just noticed the little tea table in the foreground. Or, it's just a regular table, but, you know, being used for tea. It's considerably less fancy, so, you know, I have to clarify that. But yeah, I was just about to say, like, maybe it's the tea sets. Maybe these are the two people in camp who, you know, can have a nice sit-down and discuss things over tea. But I haven't really memorized the layouts of any of the makeshift buildings here. Anyway though, yeah, that's the encampment. Like I said, I don't usually visit here in the first half, because it's very awkward for everybody involved. And since I don't need the recipes anyway, I don't really miss out on much other than a bunch of people saying, hey, we hate you. Right, so let's take a look at the recipes we've received. Here's Quick Charge 1. I've got Quick Charge 3, so there's no point. I can also do Spike Type W as well. Let's see, do we take a look at that one? Okay, so... Foot Chip. Spike Type W, no effect from wind and magnets. That sounds like it'll be very useful in particular stages. Will we get to one of those stages next time on Mega Man 04? No, we won't. Instead, we deal with the other Reploid that I want to kill me. I mean, the other female Reploid. What did you hear? I didn't say anything.